Ahoy hoy, and welcome to this extended look at playing the new Pokémon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl remakes with the new Nintendo Switch Online Nintendo 64 controller. God, that was a mouthful. Anyway, let's start getting into the game and seeing how far we can get with this. Our big issue, as normal on the Switch, is that we don't have an X or Y button, so I'm not sure what those will be bound to so far. And immediately we're in for some very dramatic music. I don't remember this start, but yep, this is a dramatic start. My controller, I can feel it shaking, or maybe I'm just adding that for dramatic effect. And here we are, we're into our chibi looking game, where I'm going to show the highlights of my first few hours of play with the N64 controller. Let's get to the basic controls. So obviously I can use the control stick to move around. You actually do have diagonal movement in this, unlike the originals. Using the A button to interact with pretty much everything in the room. As well as A, you can use the Z button underneath, and I think maybe even the L button on the other side if you can be bothered to reach over there. I can interact with the bed here, where I started my tree felling review if you saw that video. If not, check it out. One quick disclaimer, I did kind of cheat by using the X button to open the options menu to put the text speed to fast, because I'm not a masochist, I'm not playing a Pokemon game with normal text speed. With that out of the way, let's keep going and see what our mom has to say. And she's talking about the local guide, come all the way from RuneScape to tell us about something that's going on. So let's move on over and see what he wants to do with us, having a nice stretch here. Apologies if the clips jump around quite a bit, but these are just a few highlights of playing with the controller, not a full playthrough. So, I'm going to walk out here and bam!
My aching head! You alright, Pikachu?
Man, why don't you two look where you're going? I'm gonna have to give you a fine.
And I've run into my rival, the local guide, who's just going to have run into me, which is very rude of him, and he's going to go on about some crap about going to the lake, and obviously he's going to try and issue us with a fine. So whilst he's still faffing around to go, we're going to head on over to the first route and go to the lake. We've managed to make it to this first route, and somehow the local guide is in front of me, and he's telling us to go check out the lake, which I can actually lead him to do, so I can use the stick to just quite nicely walk down the path. He's just going to follow behind me here, and we're going to go to the lake and actually try and get our Pokemon. See, Lake Verity.
Click on the tree.
He just told me to click on the tree, but nothing happened, so I'm just going to... Hey, I can just make him teleport back and forth. I don't think he's going to like that.
Pay a fine for that.
Sorry about that. Anyway, let's get into the main thing, which is actually choosing our first Pokemon. We've been ambushed by these wild birds here, which are really quite terrifying. So we're going to loot this briefcase and choose our very first Pokemon from these Pokeballs. So, let's have a look at what we got. Our first choice is Turtwig. Obviously not. We're not going to go for Turtwig. Chimchar, possibly. Piplup is usually my favourite of the three. I usually go for the water starter, but this time I'm going to go with Chimchar. And we're going to fight off against, not that Starly, but the greater foe, the murderer of trees, the Bidoof himself. So we're going to try him out and get into a battle. The game itself controls fine in battle, just using the A button and the control stick. Or as I'm showing on controller cam here, I'm demonstrating the use of the Z key to just essentially skip through the battle and mash through using Scratch to destroy this Bidoof as quickly as possible. And I mean, there's no surprise, we're easily going to win this fight, no matter how much this fierce Bidoof growls at me. And then after this fight, actually, the professor actually just gives us Chimchar, even though we clearly stole it from his briefcase, but he doesn't seem to mind, and we're fine with that. So we're going to skip on ahead, where we go back home, and after we've accepted our quest, and we get our dapper hat, and here's that sort of classic Diamond and Pearl look, if a little bit chibi, and we're going to go off on our grand adventure. We've skipped a little bit of time ahead to Jubilife City, and I've just finished finding the free clowns around town, because I wanted to see if I'll be able to use the Poketch, which I think the HMs are also used for in this. And it's very important, if this is on the X or Y key, this pretty much will stop the playthrough, but as we just saw there, we're using the R button, and the N64 controller does have an R button. So, let's go check out my cool new smartwatch. There it is, it's got a clock. Therefore, at this point in time, the only thing we're not able to do is open up the options or save menu. Thankfully, this game also has autosave, so we don't actually have to worry about that, and I can hold the R button to bring up the Pokétch, which we can go through the apps here just using the little button on the side. Still not quite as good as using the touchscreen of the DS on the original, but it's nice that it's still here and still has an original look from the first games. And uh-oh, I'm sort of hearing something on the horizon.
I'm finding you for bumping into me right before my battle!
You're the one who bumped into me.
Now.
That's right, it's finally time to have a battle with our local guide rival, so we're gonna battle him here, and I was definitely getting into that funky rival battle music as we could see that I'm tapping along with the controller here. So, let's see how we can do. He's gonna send out his Starly, and I've got my Chimchar. So, instead of showing the end of this battle, I'm clearly gonna win.
Wow, I can't believe it!
Dr. Man and Ginger.
Or really something else. I'll find
Thank you,
both.
local guide, for doing that. And here we go. We've skipped forward again, and we've got our first, what would have been HMs in the original, but they are TMs now, for Rock Smash. And this is quite important because this goes on to your Pokétch app. You don't actually have to go into the X menu and do it through your Pokémon, which is great because we can't actually go into the X menu and look at Pokémon. The only way I can change them is going into the PC. But I'm going to need a gym badge before we can do that. So let's skip forward again, and we're in the Aubergine? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Anyway, we're going to fight off against Rourke and show him what for to be able to use our HMs. Once again, you can see me getting into the gym battle music this time, shaking the controller from side to side. I mean, there isn't actually a gyro controller in the N64 controller, but that's a shame. Anyway, let's fight off against him. My Chimchar has now evolved into Monferno, so with these fighting moves, it should be pretty easy.
A few moments later.
Okay, we're on the final turn now, and we're just going to do a quick Mach Punch and take out his Granados in one hit. And with that, we are victorious. I'm still bopping along to the music whilst mashing the A button, but yeah, good fight. And now, after this, we'll be able to use our HMs. Well, the first HM for Rock Smash. So, you know, take that, Rock. We are victorious. Woohoo! I do like Monferno, actually. It's been great. So let's go test out this HM. I'm sure hope I don't get interrupted on the way there.
Out of the way! Out of the way!
Are you two alright?
Harry, what's your problem?
What's my problem? You bumped into me! But hey, there's no fine.
No fine? Well, that's alright then. And he's not even going to stop me for a battle. He's just going to talk about some crap and run off quickly into the cave. Anyway, let's head in there. I've got the Pokétch open on the HM MITS page, so I'm just going to use the D-pad to fine-tune my movements to go in front of the rock. And we're going to bring in Wild Bidoof to smash this rock for us. Can't just murder trees, he can murder rocks as well. A truly terrifying Pokemon. Speaking of Bidoof, the one which I was just carrying around on the back of my team got to a high enough a level to evolve. My little tree murderer here, who's going to evolve. And as I bop along to the evolution music, I'm just going to sort of try and summarise what I've been able to do with the game so far. So I haven't really run into any major difficulties, other than not being able to open the options menu, which I have to cheat to do. But everything else you could do pretty much normally. You can switch your Pokemon around in the PC and the Pokemon Center. Just moving ahead a bit, I finally found out what the Y button is used for. And that is actually just to activate the Union Room and the multiplayer features, so something you don't need at all to beat the game. So that's really good, and I'm glad that that's something that isn't needed at all on the Y button, which is something the N64 controller doesn't have, so it's looking good. It looks like that we should be able to play through the entire game on this. Now, skipping forward ahead, now I did find a problem. This guy, don't talk to this guy. He will literally murder you by sending you down into the underground, which is a key item that you need the X button to activate to go into the menu. And now that I'm down in the underground, Rourke's going to talk to us here, and he's going to remind us that we need to use it's either the X or the Y key to be able to go back up to the surface. So we're kind of stuck down here. The Y button, there it is. Yeah, look at me there. There is no Y button. We're kind of stuck. So I had to go round into those new little rooms, the question marks on the map in the top left there, and actually find a Pokemon to KO my entire team, which was actually doable because they're quite high level, and that got me out of the underground. So the bicycle here I showed, I briefly had to cheat to open up the options menu to bind it to the start button, but from there I wouldn't need to. I later figured out you could just press A on those little bike stands, and that was fine. I didn't need to cheat there, so we're still doing good. We're moving on to poffin mixing here, so again this is just moving the control stick around. I didn't know if this would be gyro or anything because it was on the touchscreen. And this just involves swirling the stick, so I got the old classic Mario Party strategy, using the stick there, knackering the palm of my hands, and probably damaging the controller in the first place. And this resulted in a truly terrible poffin being made. And then one final thing to look at was the Super Contest shows, which, I'll be honest, aren't that great compared to the originals, even though the original contests were nothing on the Ruby and Sapphire contests, if I'm speaking honestly. But it's just a rhythm game, which you just got to press the A button at the right timing. The only thing that we are not able to do using the controller is that you're supposed to use the X button to use your Pokemon's move. You only get one move in this, which again kind of sucks, and that's it. But in this tutorial, it'll show up in a second that of Kadabra using its move. That was automatic in the tutorial, but when I tried again to do a real contest, we didn't get anything. So overall, I've been enjoying my time playing the Diamond and Pearl remakes with the N64 controller without running into any major issues except being trapped in the underground briefly. If you have watched this video and you're staying with it right to the end, then thank you very much. That's great. I doubt many people will, but thank you for watching. Let me know if you've enjoyed it. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out some of my other videos. And let me know your suggestions for any other games you want to see me try with the N64 controller below. Until next time, goodbye!